You've got to do your exegesis, you've got to have your examiners come and look at all your work, and then you've got to have an oral examination. It's like you're sort of, when is this ever going to finish? That's what you kind of feel like at the end. So I'm David Bailey. I'm a PhD student at AUT with the School of Art and Design, and the title of my thesis is Synchronous Reality, Place and Memory in Virtual Installation. I'm 62, so that's quite old for someone to be going to university. But I think that academia is somewhere where you can still flourish. And I hope to be carrying on for a lot longer. What excited me about VR was, I suppose, the potential, but at the same time, I had a great deal of concern about the fact that it could tend to isolate people more, as we've seen happened with the smartphone. And I feel that research needs to look at those aspects of virtual reality as well as the positive aspects. So I think that's where I originally came from, was this factor of isolation. The flipping from isolation to solitude was really my own journey. It was an auto-ethnographic methodology I was using, so I was exploring my own past experiences, and through that, obviously a lot of negative stuff came up. But at the same time, you start to recall the positive parts. And so what I found myself doing was putting more of the positivity into the work and discarding the negativity, almost like a catharsis of that journey that I went through. The work speaks to isolation in the way that I came originally from the idea of being isolated in a caravan in the middle of Yorkshire. However, what happened was that through experiencing my work, people found it a more positive experience of solitude. And so I suppose I sort of turned around on myself, as a researcher should, and said, well, maybe that's what I should be looking at. So it became more about solitude and the positive aspects of that than the negative aspects of isolation. Living in a caravan, in a 13-foot caravan, isn't always a fantastic experience. I moved to Yorkshire for personal reasons, and I found myself all alone. You know, my family was scattered all over the country, but I was in a completely new environment, and that is quite isolating. You sort of have to make new friends, meet new people. So it was very lonely at times. That's what I experienced. However, the positive side of it was that I did have my two cats, and they sort of balanced the lack of human contact by having the two cats. So I wanted to add as many physical elements as I could. So you've obviously got the touch and feel, and you've got the sound, but I wanted to add some sense of smell. So that's where the toast came from, because, you know, I had a toaster, and cinnamon toast gives a really strong smell. It's very evocative. And the heat, I want the sun goes in a cycle. But if you've ever sat in the sun, as it rises, you get that blast of heat. And I wanted to give the participant that blast of heat. The sun comes up, boom, feel that heat. And so that's why specifically I added those. I mean, it's like, where do you stop and where do you begin? I think those added just a little bit more depth to the immersive experience. The whole thing about synchronous reality, which is the word I use to describe the installations that I made, is that you've got physical parts and virtual parts and they mesh together, but you don't give all the physicality, you only give some of it. So what happens is the person fills in the rest, but what it does do is it gives them a much more observably deeper, immersive experience, because they can touch, hear, smell something. They're right inside that, and of course they get to the point where they can't remember what is there and what isn't there. Although they know the seats are there, they might go and try and open the cupboard and it might not be there. But that doesn't matter. It's almost like you're signposting them. You're signposting those physical elements, but you don't need the whole road.